We have an awesome show for you guys today.
The greatest event of all time.
Good news for the sport.
Welcome to the Jon and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. We are thrilled to have everybody here. Make sure that you guys are on YouTube and podcasts, and we're on Apple and Spotify and all the stuff, and that you subscribe to us and give us all of the ratings and whatnots. All right. So with that said, Rick, we are here. It is episode 13. And we have a great show. We've got Max Corcoran and Jim Wolfe joining us, which is kind of cool because that's like a bit of a yin and a yang, or like a guy who, with Jim Wolfe, who used to kind of run the show, and now you've got Max in, who now is running the show. So I'm actually super excited to talk to both of them.
No, it's a cool two to have, and what a wealth of knowledge, and what both have done for our sport is immeasurable. So it's going to be great to have both of them on. I'm on as a newlywed, so this is my first show being married. Woo!
Yeah, congratulations. That was such a good time.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Everybody out there, thanks for joining on Zoom. And here we are with the 13th episode of our third season. And Jon, you are on vacation. I'm jealous. You actually, and I appreciate this, you delayed your vacation by a day because you came to the wedding.
Yeah, we had, right? We did. We delayed it by a day, maybe two, which we were thrilled to do because I wouldn't have missed your wedding, you and Briggs, for anything. We definitely wanted to be there, and it worked out great. We flew on the 4th of July up to northern Wisconsin. We have a house on a nice little lake up here, and I've been spending the week with family and water skiing and fishing. And yesterday, Caden and I went fishing. We caught, I think, probably 20 fish, none of which were bigger than about 6 inches. But had a great time doing it. And we went to go fish today, but we got rained out.
So I think my favorite video so far, I love the slalom ski, so I love watching you ski, and I'm jealous. But secondly, was being in that, what was it, a four-wheeler? What were y'all in when you were going through the water and stuff? That was awesome. So that was something new. One of my friends,
Andy, decided that he has a place up here, and he decided that what we needed to do was go rent UTVs. So we got, I think, 4 UTVs, and drove them from basically Mercer, Wisconsin, which is like almost as far north as you can go. And we went all the way through Michigan up to Lake Superior, saw that,
wow,
and then came all the way back home. We did 121 miles round trip. And yeah, I think the video you saw is when we smashed into what really was probably a small pond, but was in the middle of the road. And it's funny, Jen's like, "Oh, I can't believe you did that. Like, that was you were so cold and so wet." And I'm like, "Yeah, you were encouraging me to do it." She was like, wait, I got to get my phone before you go so we can record this. So just throwing that out there for anybody who feels bad for Jen that she's married to me and I do stuff like that. She's the one who was egging me on.
No, I think it's awesome. That was great. So a lot's been going on since you've been gone here,
Yeah, and I have to say, I just was saying before we started this, I've missed out on a bit because we have access to the internet, obviously, because I'm recording from up here, and it's a home. It's not really a cabin. Right. But I haven't been paying as much attention. So you got to fill me in on what's been happening. I know Cornelia just had a good performance, right?
She did. I heard she did really well. I know right now, or it's over, and I didn't see the results on this. I should have looked it up. For Caroline Martin was doing something with her young horses, getting ready for Lyon. Right. Then did we have the show when Aachen had completed, with Will Coleman being 6th and 10th with the 2 horses?
Yeah, I think that was right before our last show. But yeah, Will did great at Aachen.
Yep.
That chin tonic horse, man,
together.
Yeah, it does. But both those horses were good. But man, the chin tonic horse, who I think actually placed lower, that thing's just going to be the real deal. And I remember when he was one of our first guests we had on this show a couple of years ago. We were talking about that horse, and I had kind of questioned him about the gallop on it. And he very smartly said, well, you know, if you get a thoroughbred that doesn't do dressage, you're patient with them and you teach them to do dressage. And so I'm going to be patient with Chin Tonic and teach him to gallop. And he seems to be doing that. I'm not saying it's going to ever gallop like a thoroughbred, but it sure seems to be getting faster and better.
It's getting better and better each time he goes out. And, you know, we talk about Well later on in the show, but, you know, he's got a great program. I watch him do stuff with his horses. And I mean, Elisa does the same. He's got some natural horsemanship in him, and he's been doing that with his horses. And Elisa's done that for a lot. Tick Maynard is another one that does natural horsemanship. It's kind of cool to watch them. I don't practice it as much as what it looks like they're doing, but I think it's important for them to develop a good relationship, just like you and me with our horses. And each of us go about it a different way, but I see him doing that with his.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. I remember talking to David about it when he was sort of the final few years of his tenure as a 5-star rider. He got quite tight with the Pirellis. And I remember saying to him at one point, like, yeah, I don't know, like, it just is a bit much, because it was very commercialized at that point and felt a little forced, a little bit forced. And he said to me, John, it's the same thing you do with your horses. They just use different kinds of ropes and different kinds of sticks, but you do groundwork with your horses and they do it with theirs and I do it with mine. It's all similar stuff. It's just how you package it up. So yeah, for sure. I think it's an important piece.
No, I agree. And, you know, I've got that Ingomar Dingo that is a very strange horse. And I can tell you, he doesn't let a lot of people catch him in the pasture. Equibrew has been helping a lot, but I use natural horsemanship with them. The whole thing about turning your back, you know, eye contact, that kind of thing works with that horse. It's amazing what he will lunge around me. I'll stop, turn my back, and he'll walk up behind me and I can hear him sniffing. You know, and I can catch him all the time. Walter, my poor farm manager, gets real frustrated, calls me on the phone and says, will you come catch this horse? Sure,
some of them are that way for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys start up now. We're getting we're partway through,
halfway through July. We just got back from chat.
How was that?
It was good. Briggs was 4th in the intermediate with the black horse, Booming Boudron. He had a terrific cross country. It was pouring rain. They had a delay. Lightning was striking. I was on Ingomar Dingo going to go dressage modified. And I was like, I'm going to go watch my husband ride cross country. So I knew I had like 10, 15 minutes that I could get back and do my dressage, but it was pouring rain. I'm like, do I go do it? And I was like, yes. So I trotted Dingo out in the rain. And right when I get down to the cross country, lightning strikes. And then all these people are running. And so everybody's running back to the barn. I had the best trot ever going back to the barn. I was like, if we could do this in the dressage, this would be awesome.
So we need to do dressage during lightning storms is basically.
Yep. And pouring down rain. And the horse was brilliant, but he finished 4th in the intermediate. I finished 6th in the modified. My horse has never been better. I've dropped him back a couple levels, just bringing him back up. And I think he's going to be ready to hit the 2-star level by stable view.
Awesome. Well, that's good. Yeah, and the horse show itself ran well and was good. I mean, obviously, if it rained, the ground must have been decent.
The ground was really good. You know, they did a good job. It's really hard when you have a rainstorm, lightning, 2-hour delay. You know, a lot of people get frustrated, but I thought Andrew Timpkin was there, Hugh. I think they did a good job at trying to coordinate. You know, there's still frustrated people. You know, you're trying to do cross country. People go out of order, you try to get back in line. I think they did a great job considering how much rain came down and what was going on. It ended up a really good show jump day on Sunday. So we had a good time. It was cool the whole time. It was probably 80 degrees.
That's amazing.
There.
I mean, I'll be honest, the only reason I don't go to those July shows is because it's so darn hot. So that's,
you know, what happens to me at those shows, at least 1 out of the 2 we go to does that, and it's cool. And I'm always like, I'm cold. I need a jacket.
Wow.
You're about to yawn. You
I
are
did give a
about
little
to
yawn.
yawn on our show.
It's because I'm on
Oh
vacation.
my gosh. Everybody on podcast, he was about to yawn.
I
caught
did
him.
yawn. I muffled it. I'm not going to lie. I'm relaxed. I'm having a great time up here. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, super. So when do you come home? We miss you.
Tomorrow morning. So I get on a plane tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. out of Rhinelander, Wisconsin. It has 2 gates. Actually, it might have 1 gate.
Awesome.
Yeah, we should be home into Orlando by lunchtime, and I'll be there tomorrow afternoon, ready to rock and
Very
probably
good.
be in
Well,
shock from the heat.
right. We did our schedule all the way through hopefully France, where we're aiming the black horse, the 7-year-old, to go. So I just did that whole schedule. It seems
Nice.
it's going to be fun.
Awesome. What's the date of that again? Because I said I would go.
It's the week after Maryland. So it's the 20th through the 26th of October. So we will ship the horse up to Maryland with us for the little horse Couture to do the 3-star long there, and he'll ship out to France, hopefully, if everything goes right. You got to make sure you have a horse that needs to go to France first. And so we've got he goes to River Glen 3-star. He goes to Great Meadows. I think it's very important for him to go to Great Meadows with both horses and run on the hills a little bit there. And then he'll do Stable View. And then if everything looks right, that's 3-3-stars that the horse runs, we'll send them. And I'm confident that they will look great to go. So.
Well, that's exciting. I can't wait because I want to eat baguettes and drink wine. So.
Well, you're going to fly over with me.
Yeah, awesome. Let's plan for it. So get her done, Briggs. All right, listen, we are going to take a break, and then we're going to get back for our Stress Less segment with Max Corcoran.
Want to advertise on the Jon and Rick Show? Contact Jon at 352-875-8622.
Or call Rick at 850-879-2649.
For a horse owner on the road, your trailer is essential. No one enjoys being stuck on the road. At Horse Trailer Pros, we repair, renovate, and maintain all makes and models of horse trailers. We work directly with your insurance company or manufacturer for warranty repairs and insurance claims. Our state-of-the-art facility provides quick turnaround and friendly customer service. Considering a living quarter conversion? We do those too. Find comfort on the road with Horse Trailer Pros. Call or text 352-804-2131. HorseTrailerPros.com.
Jay and Pip Hambley of Glenarden Farms are located in Fergus, Ontario, Canada, and Williston, Florida. Looking to get an edge at the competitions? Jay and Pip will use their years of experience as advanced level competitors to teach, coach, and train you and your horse to be your best. Looking for your next horse? Pip is one of the best and specializes in sourcing quality thoroughbreds. Jay is a level 4 or 5 FEI course designer and designs extensively throughout the world. Come compete at the recognized horse trials in Canada this summer. They also have cross-country jumps in stock for you to take home, or Jay can custom build exactly what you need. Contact Pip at 519-820-0586.
I'm Gabby Ruane, and I run Ruane Eventing. I run my program out of Reddick, Florida. I start off in the morning bringing the horses in, feeding, and then tacking up and riding pretty much all day. It's always a busy day here with multiple horses in training. When Mufasa first arrived, he was quite sensitive and reactive as a young horse. I decided to start him on Stress Less. I've tried quite a few other supplements and I felt like they all dulled him. Stress Less was the first supplement that really let me get through his tough moments, but I felt like he could still keep that spark that made him special. Stress Less helps keep Mufasa calm but responsive even through his tough moments. When Mufasa first arrived, he was quite reactive and sensitive, and I needed something to help me get him through those tough moments. Mufasa began his career as an event horse last year, and this year I hope to move him up to the preliminary level and then end the year with a 2-star long. I'm Gabby Ruane, and I would recommend Stress Less to anyone who wants their horse more focused and rideable overall.
Welcome back to the Jon and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. This is our Stress Less segment, and we are great in knowing that we are sitting here with Max Corcoran. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing? Good to see you guys.
I'm doing fantastic. I know John's doing super. All I see him doing is water skiing.
Yep, water skiing and fishing. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah, good.
But Max, you've been busy, so you got this whole new role, right? So tell us a little bit about what you've been doing, what your role is with the team.
Well,
Additional role.
the role is sort of a little bit morphing into whatever it's going to be. It's sort of, there was a discussion with the elite eventing task force that potentially the job as the managing director or the director of eventing, it's a huge job trying to manage everything in the office and all of the calendaring and officials and all that kind of stuff, and trying to also run high performance and be boots on the ground for high performance at the same time. So there was a discussion that maybe there should be a position that was maybe someone that could be the boots on the ground, someone that had a little bit been there, done that a little bit, and could help the people in the crew that's in the office sort of be the help them out a bit, because it's a lot, it's too much, and hasn't worked, and history has shown that it hasn't worked, and it hasn't really worked since Jim Wolfe was running it, and he's not normal anyway. And we love Jim Wolfe, but he's not normal, and he was the only one that really could do that job really, really well. If you're going to do the boots on the ground thing, there's always a bit that's missing in the office, and vice versa. And that job, we've seen that the director of eventing person rotate through quite a lot in the last 10 years. So they decided that this should be, it's a part-time job. I'm on a contract with them. And so, yeah, so I'm there to help out, sort of, I don't know, a bit of a barn manager, a bit of a liaison, bit of a, they're calling me a facilitator, which of course my European friends say that it makes it sound like I'm part of the, a toilet, because I'm a facility, which is actually really kind of funny. But that is what I'm there to sort of help. When Bobby Costello says, hey, we want to do this, I sort of make sure it help get it done. And Chris Vaughn and Gemma Stobbs and Amber and Allison in the office, we sort of all work together trying to make sure that we got everything that we need for the horses and the riders and the grooms, and the owners have everything they need. And I guess I'm lucky enough that I've had enough experience that I can bring that to this job and help out wherever I can, really, I guess.
Well, I think it's a perfect fit for you, because you just rattled off what somebody else that might got hired for that position couldn't even rattle.
Well, I've been asked the question a lot. I sort of blah blah blah. I'm like, I don't know. I mean,
it's
going to continue to morph. And to figure out what it is. I'm on a contract through the Pan Ams, and then to potentially extend that contract through the Olympics in Paris. So and basically the thing is, at the end of the day, we want the riders to know that basically their job, they just need to get on and ride. They need to go on and do their job, and not to worry or do anything about anything else. It's just like, get on, do your job. And so I'm there to hopefully help fill in the gaps to make sure that they've got everything they need to do their job.
I think that's a good philosophy from what in the past was happening. I think you mentioned Jim Wolfe, who's going to be on the show today. It's interesting because I've heard stories of Jim Wolfe, like even going 2 years before and start growing the type of hay that you're supposed to have.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's like, who would even think of doing that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Jim Jim has been a bit of a mentor for me over the years. Not only was he for me, he groomed for Karen O'Connor way back in the day. So I've got that bit of it. And then watching him work, I was lucky enough to be I was younger then, but a less experienced and younger groom at the time, when in his heyday, when he was doing his thing, and towards the end of his working, and to see what he did to make sure everybody had what they needed, but also being very professional and making sure it's like, you do your job, I do my job, you get up and you ride. And if something goes wrong, we all face the music together and figure out where it broke down. And there's, fingers don't get pointed. You look in the mirror and you discuss it. Is this my thing or is this your thing? And he was very black and white on all the things. So I have a lot of respect for him for that. And he is such an incredible attention to detail, almost ad nauseum. And, I love Jim dearly. I've worked with him a bunch, but almost to the point where like, Jim, you want to kill him sometimes at the same time. But I do appreciate his professionalism.
Yeah, great mentor to have, though. I mean, even with what you're going to be doing, we've known you for years, and I think you're going to fill that job perfectly. So,
Thank you. Yeah.
Congratulations. Jon, you got some questions for Max on what she's doing?
Yeah. So Max, I just talked to you, I think it was last week. We were on a phone call on a meeting, and you were actually over in Europe with Bobby.
Yes.
So I know you haven't had the job that long, but was that your first trip? I felt like you had one before that as well, where they all sort of combined. Where did you go? Where have you been?
No, I went to Lemuelin, which wasn't technically a team trip, but we had a lot of American riders over there. And I didn't necessarily need to be there, but the USCF felt that it would be a great time for Bobby and I to go there and work together. And I've known Bobby since I was 12. I was his first working student when I was a kid, and I adore him, but we had never worked together in this capacity. So they thought it would be a good idea they wanted a USCF based person to be there just to, make sure everything was going well for those guys. It was a selection trial, so there was that part of it too. It was the final, the final selection trial for the World Championships. So there was a little bit of that part of it, just to make sure that those riders that had applied were getting everything that they needed. So I was there, and then that finished on the Sunday, and the first Aachen horse flew over 3 days later. So I just stayed throughout. And then made sure. So again, a bit of a learning curve, learning all the things, what we need to do, what is important, what isn't important, how it all works. So that was a big. Bobby did go home in between. I stayed to sort of help make sure that those horses from Aachen, as that was a Nations Cup team that was fully funded by the USCF, make sure that they had what they needed. So, but yeah, Bobby and I on the Tuesday before Aachen. We went down to France to do a site visit for training camp for the World Championship. So that was a long journey, but a very, very worthwhile day.
Cool. And officially off the record, because don't worry, we won't tell anybody. Was it a good trip? Like, did you find a good place to train out of?
Yes,
What's the story
we found
there?
a great trip, and I'm pretty sure that they've sort of secured the contract. It's a little town called Vatel, which is actually, if you're drinking your really fancy French water, and it's called.
I was just going to say, I feel like I drank that water.
Yep,
yeah.
That's it, the Vatel water. They got their companies there, and they run a horse trials there in the summer, and they also have racing there. That it just started the 1st of July and it finishes the end of August. So we'll be there just after the racing. And it's basically because there's the logistics of getting all the horses and riders and everybody from the US to Pretoni. It's a long journey when you fly, and the horses can only fly into Liège, which is obviously up in Belgium. And the drive down in a car alone is probably 15 hours, and you add a lorry onto that where they can't drive very fast and the drivers have to stop every few hours because of the laws over there. It makes it a very, very, very long journey. So trying to find the logistics, I think Bobby has found this place, he sourced it, and it's about 5 hours into the drive down to Pretoni, and I think it's going to be a good spot, nice and quiet. I got everything we need: rings, jumps, stables, gallop, water jump, grass fields, so we can practice our jumping on the grass, and a nice little town right there. I think it should be perfect for these horses and riders. It should be great.
Well, that's perfect. I want to hear a little bit about that, and then I want to talk a little bit more about you and your relationship with Bobby and sort of how that team's going to work. But before we do that, we have to take a quick break and check in with some of our sponsors. So we're going to do that, and then we are going to be right back. So Rick, we got to make sure we thank Stress Less.
Stress Less, thanks a lot. Great horse supplement. Everybody out there, it's great for helping with your training at home. Make sure you order some. It's a calming supplement that really makes a difference in your horse training. So I would get it and use it.
Perfect. Good work, man. We'll be right back.
Hey, Rick here. Do you have a horse suffering from poor performance, anxiety and fear, low appetite, agitation, or nervousness? Stress Less can help. Stress Less, the hot horse remedy, is veterinarian developed all-natural formula that promotes calmness, focus, and mood balance in horses experiencing stress related to training, showing, racing, stall rest, and travel. This equine supplement encourages calmness, focus, and mood balance without affecting the motor skills or energy levels of your horse. It promotes a more willing and balanced temperament with no drowsiness or impaired function, resulting in increased focus, a calm mind, and a happier horse and rider. Try Stress Less today and see for yourself why we think Stress Less is the best hot horse remedy you will find. Check us out at centerlinedistribution.net and on Facebook and Instagram as Stress Less Horse Supplement.
Hi, my name's Leslie Law and we are a proud supporter of Jump for Joy. We've been using their portable cross-country jumps now for about 10 to 15 years. We love these jumps because, as you can see, they're very easy to move. It would only take another person on the other side and I could place this fence wherever I wanted to very easily.
Rick Wallace here, bringing you Equibrew, a live probiotic that is geared to help your horse's gut health. I'm a true believer in this Equibrew, and it really makes a difference in all of my horses. Equibrew is safe, non-toxic, and clean sport compliant for FEI and racing events. Equibrew is an intact fermentation product with very high numbers of beneficial microbes. Order at equibrew.com or 850-879-2649.
Summit Joint Performance, the injectable joint supplement used by numerous international and Olympic riders, invites you to experience the winning Summit difference. Made of all natural ingredients, Summit increases mobility and comfort. Win your class with Summit Joint Performance.
Welcome back to the Jon and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros, and we are still here joined by Max Corcoran. Max, thanks for sticking around.
Absolutely. Thanks, you guys, for having me. It's always fun to talk to you too. I like it.
I do too. I like it a lot.
So Max, I was talking with Bobby, and I mentioned this a little bit in our last show, so it's not like breaking news, but he was going on about how invaluable having you as a part of the team and part of his team is, because the way he explained it to me was he's been on these sorts of trips with his horses, but none of that really compares number-wise with the number of trips that you've been on in all of your capacities. So how many big European trips and team trips, I can already see your wheels grinding, how many big team trips and big 5-star trips to Europe have you made over the years, do you think?
Enough. Let's see. I don't know.
Ballpark.
I can
20?
guess. I mean, I've
Try to
done
do that.
all up. I've done, I did my first Burley in 2002. And did Burley and Blenheim that year. And then the next year I went to England again with the 3 horses and did Burley and Blenheim again. And then there was
Olympic
championships in
Games?
Aachen. I've done 3 Olympic Games, and I've done 3 on the competition side, 3 World Championships and 1 at back of the house at Tryon. I was part of the organizing committee at Tryon. But I did 2006, 2010, 2000 as with the Americans, 2014 as a Canadian stable manager, and then did some Pan American Games.
And this was sort of Bobby's point, is you have all of that experience, right? And he said, like when he was thinking about logistics and how to get stuff done, you were so good on that trip looking for we were just talking about the last segment about trying to find where you're going to lay these horses over, how the logistics are going to work, that you were so good at really not just like looking at it and saying, well, this seems like a good idea, but really like real world. Yeah, that seems like a good idea, but actually we need this or we need that. And so, one, wanted to tell you, Bobby thinks you're pretty good, but
That's-
two,
I love
like,
Bobby.
like, what's that team like? What's the dynamic like working with Bobby? And, I know it's just been short order, but, you guys know each other. You're
Oh,
sort of
yeah,
fighting for a common goal.
it's actually really fun to work with him again. When I was a kid, way back when, back when the dinosaurs were roaming the earth, we worked together rode at a stable, and I didn't have the money to. Bobby and I were both the sort of the people that had to work to ride. And so we sort of palled around together, and Ebit took me under his wing, and we would, have to, set courses at the local horse shows and paint the jumps. And, we just had to do a lot of stuff together because it wasn't going to get done. And we both wanted to ride, and we both were really passionate about the horses and competition and eventing. And he sort of taught me how to, he taught me how to braid. He taught me how to wrap legs. He taught me how to put puller wraps on. He taught me how to go down center line. He taught me a lot. So, so when we were driving to Vittel, it was just sort of set. I mean, it'd been probably, I don't know, 35 years since we'd done this, but seemed like yesterday that we were doing this again. So it was actually really fun it's great to work with him because I've known him we've known each other for so long. And even though a lot of years and experiences have passed through us, it's just sort of like putting on an old glove, right? It's just awesome. And he has, I think he and I both have a lot of passion and a lot of vision for what we would love to see the US team be like. And we have some work to do to get there. And I think him as a selector, it was very difficult for him to be able to voice his opinions and his thoughts and his dreams and his passions because he had a job to do. He had to actually pick a team, and he was the head selector. And so that was his management. And now he actually has a voice, which I think is so excellent and critical because he's got an incredible voice to be heard. And because he's an Olympian himself, and he gets the game, he knows the level. He has had to work very, very hard to be there. He did not come, it came naturally to him as a rider, but he was not fully funded. He had to work very hard. He's had to teach a lot of lessons. He's ridden good horses and bad horses, and has had and understands an opportunity when it comes, and when to take that opportunity, which I think is a really good life lesson that a lot of people probably don't quite know yet, if that makes sense. So I think he is right now is the best person, such a good person for this job. And again, we're both trying to learn and figure out, and it's sometimes he's like, can I say something to this person? I say, do it. Come on. Like, what are we going to lose? What are they going to do? Fire us? I mean, we gotta make a difference. Like, it's time to make a difference now. It is go time. Let's get this done. Yeah. Like we gotta go. And so, there's a lot of times we think very similarly, which is actually quite nice too. And, yeah, it's been great. I love working with them. It's been super.
Well, I can say I'm very excited because I know both of you. I know Bobby from many, many, many years ago. And, it's just knowing you and knowing him and the dynamics and how you get excited about what you're talking about. I think it's all guns forward. What a selection of riders that we have now that y'all can cultivate and really bring. I think for me, seeing it, I'm super excited because it's just the caliber of riders and horses that we have. I don't think we've ever had. So I think it's exciting to see y'all pull it together.
Here's hoping. Yeah. And it's a great group. It's a great group. There's some new people coming through that are pushing some of the veterans along, and they got to be worried. They got some good people coming up behind them that are really, and hopefully are pushing them forward to be that much better.
Well, and with that in mind, Max, so you do have a short time to the next championship, to the
yes.
Yeah. Right, but you also have a short time in that Bobby's contract is just through this year. You're through the Pan Am Games and maybe a little bit longer. So what can you do? What do you do? Like, we've been sort of in this rut internationally as a team. I think we've had some great results here and there. Like, Le Moulin was awesome. And over the years, we've had those competitions where we're like, oh, we're right there. We're on the cusp. It's going to break. And then it doesn't quite break through. So What's the difference? What are you guys going to do?
Why don't you tell me, John? What am I going to do? It is true. I totally agree with you. I totally agree. I think, someone asked, what do you really want to get out of this job? Like, what is your hope for this? And, a lot of my hope is that, again, we continue to have a bit of an attrition rate here in this country, that we see the Americans going over and buying horses overseas at a high level that are maybe not the best horses. What I would love to see is more of a production, horse people buying younger horses and producing them here themselves and making the right decisions for those horses. Because I think, and getting, depth in their own string of horses. 2028 in LA is coming up. It's going to come up quickly. I would, be cool to see amazing 6 and 7 year olds right now, because those are the horses that are going to be at the Olympic Games. Like, that would be great. And doing sort of more of that. I would love to just be able to help the horses more, help the grooms more, help the riders understand their horses more. The longer we can keep our horses sound and well, the more they can train, and to train effectively and train correctly and find the right people to work with that work for them. And I think the new model of not having a coach per se is going to be fantastic, because there are certain people that work really well with certain other people, and then that may not get anything out of another rider. So for people to be able to have their own system and their own program that's maybe monitored and tweaked a bit from here and there, just sort of a little bit of a check-in, I think is going to be probably the most successful in a lot of ways, the way the other countries are sort of doing it too. Just making sure that the standard is there. I guess that's probably where I should have started that there. We need to set a standard, and then everybody needs to be at that standard or rise above it, which I think is really critical. And again, when you're new and coming in on this, you hope you can get a standard to start, because I think a little bit, it's been easy for us to not have that standard, or our standards can be quite low, but because you still find success, even at a low standard, if we want to be successful internationally, we need to have a higher standard. Like, I will,
right.
No,
I
yeah.
think what you're saying, I don't want to cut you off, but we're going to be running short on time here. I think what I appreciate about what you're saying here is, I said to you, how are you going to fix it for this championship? And what you say to me is a very long-term answer, because it is a long-term deal.
It's a long-term, right? But we got things we can do now. It's like, all right, what are we going to do now? Like, what can we do? How are we going to get this done? Like, tell me what you need. Let's get it done. If that's what you believe that you need for this, right. And that's for now, that we got to get this done now. And, the goal for this, obviously, like blue sky, pie in the sky, is that we get a team medal. The true, I think, goal is to get qualified for the Olympic Games, so we can send a really good developing team to the Pan Ams next year and not have to use that as our qualifier. That right. To me would be the dream. That's me personally, but that may not. That's not the USCF dream. That's just me personally. I
think that is a good goal, to get ourselves qualified for the Olympics, and then let's go to the Pan Ams and
to
practice.
Start build. Yeah, and to get building on it, and to just do. Yeah, everyone there's a phrase everyone says, like, oh, well, it's good enough. I was like, what's good enough? Like, good enough is still, it's not great. It's like, why is it it's not enough? I don't know. I just think that's such a bizarre phrase. And I also get frustrated by some of these riders that, Aachen this year and Buccolo, or they're going to be fully funded trips, and people won't take the time to be brave enough to put their horses out there to see where they are against the rest of the world. And and again, sure, I'll give Will Coleman a ton of credit, because he's like, I'm going to go again. I'm going to do this, and did a brilliant job producing his young horse and taking his young horse over there to do the same thing. And
I think Will certainly seems to be the one to follow right now, as far as setting the example for what to do.
Absolutely.
So listen, Max, I don't want to cut you short here, but
yakking away.
You're doing awesome. We both appreciate you coming on very much. We are going to take a break here, guys, and then we're going to be back with the person that Max teased for us brilliantly in the first segment, Jim Wolfe is coming up next. So everybody hang tight, and we're going to get to hear from Mr. Jim Wolfe.
For a horse owner on the road, your trailer is essential. No one enjoys being stuck on the road. At Horse Trailer Pros, we repair, renovate, and maintain all makes and models of horse trailers. We work directly with your insurance company or manufacturer for warranty repairs and insurance claims. Our state-of-the-art facility provides quick turnaround and friendly customer service. Considering a living quarter conversion? We do those too. Find comfort on the road with Horse Trailer Pros. Call or text 352-804-2131. HorseTrailerPros.com.
I'm Gabby Ruane, and I run Ruane Eventing. I run my program out of Reddick, Florida. I start off in the morning bringing the horses in, feeding, and then tacking up and riding pretty much all day. It's always a busy day here with multiple horses in training. When Mufasa first arrived, he was quite sensitive and reactive as a young horse. I decided to start him on Stress Less. I've tried quite a few other supplements and I felt like they all dulled him. Stress Less was the first supplement that really let me get through his tough moments, but I felt like he could still keep that spark that made him special. Stress Less helps keep Mufasa calm but responsive even through his tough moments. When Mufasa first arrived, he was quite reactive and sensitive, and I needed something to help me get him through those tough moments. Mufasa began his career as an event horse last year, and this year I hope to move him up to the preliminary level and then end the year with a 2-star long. I'm Gabby Ruane, and I would recommend Stress Less to anyone who wants their horse more focused and rideable overall.
Rick Wallace here, bringing you Equibrew, a live probiotic that is geared to help your horse's gut health. I'm a true believer in this Equibrew, and it really makes a difference in all of my horses. Equibrew is safe, non-toxic, and clean sport compliant for FEI and racing events. Equibrew is an intact fermentation product with very high numbers of beneficial microbes. Order at equibrew.com or 850-879-2649.
Here we go. Welcome back to the Jon and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. We have just left Max Corcoran, and we are now joined by Jim Wolfe. Jim, thanks for joining us on the Jon and Rick Show. How are you doing?
I'm well. Thanks for having me, guys.
Fantastic. Hey, Jim, real quick, can you tell us what is your title today and what you're doing so we can tell everybody?
Well, I wear a lot of hats, but I'm the president of Wolfe Sports Group, and I formed that company in 2014, and it's a consulting company. I have lots of different clients, but I'm involved pretty heavily with the World Equestrian Center. They're a big client. I still do some work for the U.S. Equestrian Federation, Mars, and some other clients. But yeah, I've been running my own consulting company since 2014. It's worked on a lot of interesting projects, including the World Equestrian Games and Central Park Horse Show and lots of different horse shows. Still very involved with Rolex, Land Rover, Kentucky, Burley, badminton horse trials.
You name it.
Various other events. Yeah.
You name it. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show. I know I see you running around at, you just mentioned World Equestrian Center a lot. I think you base yourself out of this area. Is that correct?
Well, I still have an office in Gladstone, New Jersey. I always laugh because I've worked for the USET, then the U.S. Equestrian Federation, and started my own company. I've never left my office. I'm still in the same place at Hamilton Farm, and I still do some work, as I mentioned, with the USEF, and try to help the U.S. Equestrian Team Foundation where I can. And but I still have my office there. But I do have an office here in Ocala at the World Equestrian Center. I spend a lot of time here because this project's such a massive undertaking and lots of opportunity for the sport, lots of opportunity for Wolfe Sports Group, and I really believe in what the Roberts are doing here. So,
yeah. And John, Jim, I can tell you, I live 15 minutes from the World Equestrian Center. Mr. and Mrs. Roberts, that facility is off the charts. We've been able to show there. I've done the dressage, I've done the 100 jumpers. It's well done, and it's just so cool to go there and compete. So good for them. And we're excited about the World Equestrian Jockey Club coming in soon. So hopefully crossing our fingers. So good job with all that you do in bringing in the funds and money to sponsor all the big events there. That's great.
Thanks. Yeah, this project's pretty special, and the Roberts had a great vision for it, and they're really dedicated to it. They're very good at executing their vision. They have a really good approach to this as a business, but also very committed to customer service, both for our participants, our sponsors, our spectators. But I think the one thing that they do really well here is they put the horses first all the time. I always say they build a 5-star resort for the horses, and then they build a 5-star resort for the people, but the horse part was the impetus for all of it. So it is a special project, and it's just exciting to be associated with it, and they're just great people.
So Jim, I have a question for you. So I live 5 minutes from World Equestrian Center. I love going there. I mean, I actually go there just to hang out and just be there,
Right.
Much less riding. It's just a great, fun addition to the community, and has improved Ocala in immeasurable ways. So Rick mentioned the Jockey Club earlier, and I know we're still in early stages of that, but what can you tell us about that property? Obviously, as an eventer, it's close to my heart, but I'm sure they have a big vision for it. So what are the plans there?
Well, some of the plans are not really for me to say. I mean, we're in the process of working through exactly what we're going to do there. I think one of the things the Roberts realized that was a good opportunity. There's that 1,000-acre property is very important to the community. The Roberts are very dedicated to the community. They wanted to keep it available for equestrian use. It's a great piece of land. Obviously, our thoughts are leaning, towards eventing there, along with some other things. But I think it's a great opportunity, and one that they're developing right now in partnership with the community. So,
got it.
Yeah,
so we're early stages.
Early stages. Yeah.
I can tell you, Jim, I have attended both of the zoning meetings and have actually spoke on behalf of what I felt the Jockey Club could bring to the community. I just really think that some people are missing the vision of what the Roberts really can do. And I just want to, with it being on the show now, just say, I have full commitment in what they want to do. I know they'll do all the great things for that area, and the community will only thrive because of it. And I think, because of that, we're excited for this new addition. So my big vote is for it. So there you go.
Great. Yeah. And as I mentioned, I'm really not the spokesperson for it, but I can tell you Roberts are dedicated to the community and horses, and I'm sure good things will come out of that. So
I agree.
So then the other thing, Jim, has been, obviously, and I don't think this is any secret, there were some issues when the World Equestrian Center started with some of the dates and having USEF recognized horse shows and things like that. And that's kind of been resolved. They have some recognized horse shows going on. So what is, I don't even know, like, how many USEF recognized competitions do they have at that Ocala location now?
Well, again, I'm not really the spokesperson for that. That's really a Benny Card question. He'd be a good person to have on the show, by the way.
We might have to. Yeah.
Yeah, you should have him on the show. We're running USEF shows now. We just finished up 2 weeks of FEI shows. These things evolve. It's an amazing facility. I think people really enjoy showing here. They like to be here. It has a great atmosphere. You guys have been here a lot. I think people my overwhelming experience the first year we opened last year was at the end of the winter circuit. People were kind of sad to see it's over, and there's some I've been involved in other places where you're like, thank God it's over. It's like everyone's sort of like, oh, the party's over. It's a shame, but I think it's this is so much more than a horse show facility. The World Equestrian Center, it really is a resort. For horses and people, and pets, and the people that care for them. And that's why we're like Mars Equestrian was such a great fit here, because our mission aligns very closely with them. We have really good sponsors like Florida Coast Equipment, Kubota, Coca-Cola, Kim Van Kampen. I don't want to get into listing them because I'll forget somebody very important. But we have really good partners here. We seek out people that are really dedicated to the community and the sport, and we've had really good luck with that. We have some more really exciting ones coming on soon, but we curate them very carefully. You know, we want to have partners that are really aligned with what our mission is and what we're trying to accomplish here, and are in it for the long haul. But it's a great facility. The Roberts are really dedicated to building a quality venue. We're really excited about the new hotel that's being built right now. That's just shy of 400 rooms. The vet clinic just opened a few weeks ago, large and small animal. We're doing that in partnership with the University of Florida, and that's going really well. State-of-the-art facility. It's amazing having that kind of facility at the horse show grounds, and already we've had a lot of the vets that have come in and working on the horses here. We've got all the diagnostic equipment that you can imagine. So the visiting vets, I think, have really enjoyed it. Our resident veterinarians are getting a lot of customers, but also on the small animal side, it's an amazing small animal clinic. And the other thing is, it's pretty. You know, like we've all gone to a million vet clinics. I can't think of too many that I would describe as pretty, architecturally and decorated well. But Mary Roberts, if she builds something, she's going to make it look nice and function well. And Rick Owens, her designer, and Trudy, who helps them, they're just really good at making things functional but look nice. So they've done that with the vet clinic too. So that's exciting. So lots of stuff coming down the pipeline. So
yeah, and it's you know, like I said, you can rest assured if it's being done at the World Equestrian Center, it's going to be top class for sure. This is probably a great opportunity to take a break, Jim, and then we're going to get back, and then I'm going to start hitting you with the hard questions, man. So
okay,
those are the easy ones, Jim.
Sounds good.
All right, guys, we will be right back. Jump for Joy fences are easy to move, lightweight, durable, and low maintenance. So we're out here on the cross country. We just finished over in the show jumping over the Jump for Joy fences. Had a great time schooling over them. They're really nice and easy to move, so we were able to adjust some things and really have the exact school that we needed thanks to the Jump for Joy fences. I love them. Order yours at jumpforjoyusa.com. When it comes time to compete, I demand the best out of my horses and myself. That's why Elemental Fit Lab, the home of CrossFit antics, is my home gym. Coach Vilma and her team create a fun, welcoming environment for athletes of all levels. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned athlete, Elemental Fit Lab will guide you towards a stronger, healthier version of you. Mention the Jon and Rick Show to get 3 free personal training sessions with enrollment. Jay and Pip Hambley of Glenarden Farms are located in Fergus, Ontario, Canada, and Williston, Florida. Looking to get an edge at the competitions? Jay and Pip will use their years of experience as advanced level competitors to teach, coach, and train you and your horse to be your best. Looking for your next horse? Pip is one of the best and specializes in sourcing quality thoroughbreds. Jay is a level 4-5 FEI course designer and designs extensively throughout the world. Come compete at the recognized horse trials in Canada this summer. They also have cross-country jumps in stock for you to take home, or Jay can custom build exactly what you need. Contact Pip at 519-820-0586. Welcome back to the Jon and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. We are here in our final segment with Mr. Jim Wolfe, who has agreed to stick around. We didn't scare him off, so thanks for that, for being brave. So, Jim, about what you're doing now and all the horse shows that you've been affiliated with, the different projects you have through, what is it, Wolfe? Remind me again.
Wolfe Sports Group.
Thank you, Wolfe Sports Group. Just the list of stuff that you've done, Wolfe Sports Group has been around, has been incredible. But I will always think of you as being the guy who sort of spearheaded the team through David and Karen's careers, Bruce Davidson. And you were really, to me, it was Mark Phillips and Jim Wolfe. So we don't want to get into what would you do now. What I want to know is, what did you do then that made it so successful? Because that really was, if not one of the most successful times in American eventing. And so what was the secret sauce? What did you guys do?
That's a complicated question, because it's not an easy answer. I was
you got
very
10
lucky.
minutes.
10 minutes. Well, I think first and foremost, we had a really good team behind the team. You know, Mark, you mentioned Mark, he was outstanding in his role. We had Karen Stives when we first started this all together as chairman of selectors, and she was running a very successful business in the shoe business, and she ran the selection committee like a corporate meeting. She was very, very thorough. She was very knowledgeable, but she had no affiliations with any riders. She wasn't making her living in the sport. She was kind of uniquely qualified to do that job. And we had some other just great selectors that worked with her, and then, you know, went on to chair that committee after she was there. We had a great veterinary group. And I think that's one of the things that really was important, was the veterinary program and the horse welfare and maintenance program. We had, you know, Brendan Furlong and Kathy Cohn and PJ McMahon, but we also had Steve Teachman, who's a genius. I had Dougie Hannum as a stable manager, and Dougie's been running, you know, managing horse stable management since the 1960s. He started with the Olympics, I think, in the mid 1960s. So, you know, we had a really good team behind the team, and we had a really good culture. I think a lot of it was the culture. We, you know, we like to win. It hurt Brendan Furlong more than anyone if we didn't win. So I think that was a lot of it. We had a good culture, and listen, it was a good time. You know, a lot of things came together like they have to do well. And again, when I started, it was still the long format, so it was a different kind of horse. It was a different game, but we had really good horse owners. We had really good horses. The U.S. equestrian team, the old USET, was a really great funding machine that allowed us to do the things that we knew we needed to do to win medals. We were able to spend money on the travel and the training and that sort of stuff. And we also put a lot of money and time behind the developing program, because we knew we needed to keep feeding that pipeline. And that was really important as well. And we had a really good developing program. So it's a lot of stuff had to come together for that to be successful. But I'd say at the end of the day, it was about the team, and it was about the culture behind the team.
And you know, Jim, to that fact, I know Dougie well too, and we hear some stories and good ones about you, because he
don't
would
believe everything
tell
Dougie tells you.
Well, you know, I believe that. I just talked to Max about this as well. I mean, you were so good at what you did that you would go, and this is a story I heard 2 years before you were going somewhere over to Europe, you decided you're going to go plant hay of the type hay that the horses had 2 years before you got there, so that when you got there, you had the hay, so you didn't have to do haylage or whatever that is over there, or haul it over. So is that a true story?
Yeah, it was actually Australia, and before Sydney, and I had lived over in Australia. Actually, I'd gone over to train and ride with Scott Keach, and I knew this was that was in like 91, 92. And so I kind of knew what was available over there, and they just didn't have Timothy hay. They don't feed it. And I knew most of our horses were on it. So I got together with KER, Joe Pagan, was another part of the team. We paid a lot of attention to nutrition, and Joe Pagan was a big part of the team. And Joe helped me find a farmer that would plant Timothy hay. And we started doing that 3 years before the games. So we had a really good crop of hay during the Olympics. And the funny part of that was, so Joe was running all of the, you know, the feed store during the Olympics. And there was all these big, beautiful bales of Timothy hay. And of course, the other teams would come in and say, "Oh, we want that hay." And he was like, "Well, that's the Americans' hay. You can't have it.
Not available."
And then Joe called me and he said, "Listen, you know, you have way more hay than you need. Do you want to sell some of this?" So I said, "Yeah, we'll sell it." So we started selling the hay to the other teams, and I ended up making enough money to pay for all the hay for our team and then some. So that was kind of a funny thing, but it was just, you know, from living over there and knowing what the horses needed. And I think that was a little bit of what I brought to the party. I'd, you know, been a groom, been a rider, run a logistics company that shipped horses around. A lot of people were going to England at that time, and I was someone that you would call to help set up things for you in England, deal with the shipping and registering you with a British, all the different British organizations that you had to be registered with to ride and enter you in the competitions and all the rest of it. So I'd kind of had that background. So yeah, it was a lot of planning. I always said, to win, you got to win everything. You got to have the best stables, the best turned out horses, the best equipment. If you're worried about winning all the little stuff, we wanted to win the horse inspection. We wanted to be the best turned out at the horse inspection, the best blankets, all the rest of it. I remember there was one groom at one competition that brought a horse out, and she was young, nice girl, but not terribly experienced, and her braids weren't very good. And she didn't really know my experience, but I said, hey, I can't send the horse up to the ring looking like that. You're gonna have to go back and rebraid it or find one of the other grooms to help you with it, but you can't go up to the ring looking like that. And she mumbled on her way past Dougie Hannum, I'd like to see him braid a horse. And Dougie said, oh, no, you wouldn't. I learned to braid at Bruce Davidson's. One thing I can tell you, there's not a whole lot I do really well, but I can braid a horse. Yeah. So
I need to see a spotlight on you at WEC, and I say, hey, I got a pony over here, Jim. You got some time. That's a great story.
Yeah.
Great story.
And and it's a great skill to have, Jim, in case things go south.
Hey,
right there in
braiders
Ocala.
make good money. Braiders make good money. Yeah. I had one other quick story, which is a funny one, but again, just about trying to position our team well. We were going to Hong Kong, for the Olympics, and I'd gone over years before, and I met John Ridley at the Jockey Club, and he was explaining the layout. And the National Olympic Committee parking lot was on the other side of the grandstand from where the stables were, and it was a long distance. And I said, well, that's a long way away, John. And he said, well, we're going to have shuttle buses. And I was like, yeah, shuttle buses never work. And so I said, well, what's this big parking, 4-story parking area right here on this side of the grandstand? He said, oh, that's for Hong Kong Jockey Club members. And I was like, okay. And I kind of filed that away. And about a year later, he called me. He said, you're involved with the broadcast for the Kentucky 3-day event, right? And I said, yeah, I am. And he said, well, I've got to spend some money for Hong Kong tourism. I'd like to buy a couple ads on the NBC broadcast. And I said, John, I'll tell you what, you make me a member of the Hong Kong Jockey Club for a year and I'll give you 2 ads. And he was like, why would you want to be, oh my gosh, the parking. I was like, parking. And he said, yeah, we can do that. So I became a member of the Hong Kong Jockey Club for a year. And so you get this little parking medallion you put in the front of your vehicle. And I got one of those Sprinter vans for the team. And so we went, the first day we go up, and the guy's there directing traffic, and he sees that we're a National Olympic Committee car, and he's trying to put us in the parking lot. And I point to the medallion in the window, and he's like, oh, you can go that way. So we go driving past the German team, the French, the Australians, the New Zealanders, and we pull into our parking spot. And so at the first meeting that night, the German team raised their hand. They said, hey, we want to understand why the Americans get to park here and we don't. And John said, well, that's easy. Mr. Wolfe's a member of the Hong Kong Jockey Club. And I'll never forget their chef said, well, we want to be a member of the Hong Kong Jockey Club. And he said, membership is closed.
That's awesome. That is a story.
Yeah.
That's a story of
great.
it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah. Well, and you got to be a little creative. So
yeah, well done.
Actually, the Germans actually did have some parking there because the Germans were smart enough to get the German guys helping run the Hong Kong Jockey Club. So they actually did have some parking there.
Right. Well done. Listen, Jim, it's been a treat to have you on. We could talk to you for an entire show for sure, the stories that you have. So I really appreciate you taking the time. We will ask you back at some point, so be ready for that.
Well, you're very welcome. Hey, it's always great talking to both of you, and look forward to seeing you over at the World Equestrian Center.
Yeah, man, we will see you there. So with that, thank you everybody for watching the show. We had a great one, and we look forward to seeing everyone again in a couple weeks.
Terrific.
Cool. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, guys.
We have an awesome show for you guys today.
The greatest eventer of all time.
good news for the sport.